I don't know who's doing some miscommunication, but correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't X-Men 97 advertised to be TV-14, TV 14, and not TV PG? Because when I went to Disney Plus, I noticed that the rating was TV PG. So is there a miscommunication going on? Or is it indeed TV 14? They just feel like TV PG is more attractive. Just curious. Just let me know. Maybe there's a miscommunication or something. But I will say this. I will say this though. We need to be very appreciative of streaming sites like this being around. Yes, we've had our issues with them. Yes, there's a lot of bundling going on. Yes, the prices are going up, much to our dismay. But I think we need to be very appreciative of their existence because they're allowing a lot of shows, either the reboots or in the case of X-Men 97, self-continuations, to be a little bit more loose than they were during their original runs. And to me, that's a great thing to see because you can do a lot more, you can expand a lot more, on a platform that doesn't have that much restraint, if you know what I mean, like cable and broadcast network television. And that's why I believe we should be very appreciative of X-Men 97, a show like this being a self-continuation of the original, being on Disney Plus. And the reason I say that is when you look at this episode, Fire Made Flesh, it's probably the best example that I think any of us can think of. It is the best example of being able to literally let loose, if you will, and tell the story, even though it's a loose adaptation of a bigger story. It allows you to let loose and, be able to fully flesh out that story arc more so than you could if it was on broadcast or cable television. And I appreciate that. I mean, you look at all the scenarios we got in this episode. I mean, come on. The illusion Gambit saw of Rogue doing a melty fusion into Magneto and vice versa. And her being in the outfit that she was in that iconic cover of her and Magneto together. That is something, honestly, let's be frank here. Let's be totally frankly honest. That is something that no way, shape, or form, I'm trying to find the words to say here. No way, shape, or form would that scene be allowed to be aired on the original X-Men broadcast. So we need to be appreciative of the fact that streaming platforms like Disney Plus are around to allow this kind of stuff to happen. I mean, the dialogue, the maturity. I mean, come on, seriously, blood more so than you saw in the original. Come on, come on. It's appreciation that you can't find that you can't give any other. I guess you could say broadcast, amenity out there. It's an appreciation you can't give any other broadcast like amenity out there. And I'll tell you, with this episode, they definitely showed that we need to be that appreciative because not only did it show a lot of maturity, but it did things, like I said, you would not see in the original broadcast. If it was still on network broadcast television on Saturday mornings. Again, the Rogue Magneto melty gooey fusion, what happened to Nathan, Summers, the baby that turned out to be Cable in the future, it's like you would not see this. Honestly, you would not. And we're talking the 90s. You want to talk? You want an example? You want an example of an episode even in the 2000s that was too grotesque or too much, for even for kids to allow on the block? Try TMNT 2K3. There's an episode, I think it's in one of the furthest seasons, third or fourth season, where Baxter Stockman is literally turning into a zombie. Not an undead zombie, but he's falling apart. And it was dubbed, and it was deemed so gross, so horrific, that there was no way in any shape, form, or manner 4Kids would allow it to be aired. Well, guess what? Nickelodeon comes around, and they're like, hey, we'll put it onto our channel because we're on cable and everything. And, oh, we also have Paramount Plus. Oh, we have Paramount Plus coming. We'll put it on there. And guess what? They did. So be thankful for, outlets like, Paramount Plus and Disney Plus, and to an extent cable as well, because cable, they still have their restrictions, but they are a little bit more lenient, not, just barely, they're just barely a little bit more lenient than broadcast network television. But yeah, that was something that happened in the early to mid 2000s with TMNT 2K3. Let's rewind it a decade before that in the 90s. Do you think something like this would be allowed then? Heck no. Heck no. There's no way they'd allow it. But yet you have the continuation here on Disney Plus, and nothing is held back. I mean, you're still going to have a bit of restrictions here and there, but you now have the pathway to tell more mature, more very dark, if not somber, soap opera kind of stories that you couldn't tell in the past. You couldn't tell in the past, and I think that's a great thing. I think that's a great thing. And this episode really got people talking because 3 questions were asked at the end by the Madeline Pryor gene. And those questions were, and the questions that will hopefully be answered in this season, if not next season, those questions were, when was the switch between her and the real Gene made? 2, who was the real host of the Phoenix? And 3, who really married Scott? Cyclops. These are questions that, again, as I get myself some Coca-Cola here, I have to drink that to keep myself going right now while I'm doing this. But those are questions that, like I said, hopefully get answered in this season, if not next season. But those questions were asked on purpose, in my opinion. Those questions were asked on purpose, in my opinion, because of the fact that Marvel and Disney knows it's going to get people talking and wanting them to tune in for the rest of the season. And why? Because we as fans, even if we're long-time hardcore comic book fans or not, we as fans are going to want to know, in this adaptation, when, where, how, and all that. We're going to want to, try to figure that out ourselves. But what it also does is it makes us go back to the original series, which is also on Disney Plus, and try to go through all the more notable, episodes to where we think the switch could have been done. Like the first or second time Jean and Scott are captured by Sinister in the Savage Lands. Did it happen there? Did it happen when Jean got tossed through that portal in part 1 of Beyond Good and Evil? And instead of going to the axis of time, instead she ended up in the laboratory of Sinister and switched there? Because when you look at the outfit she's wearing, the outfit feels like it feels like it was part of the wedding outfit. So it makes me wonder if it was when she got tossed into that portal, and instead of the real Jean being put into a capsule on the axis of time, then instead it was the false Jean. But then that opens up a whole can of worms of, well, Apocalypse is supposed to be all powerful. How would he not be able to detect that? I'm just saying. So, there's that possibility. Some are even saying it could have happened during the Palax saga. Some are even saying it could have happened, after the show's final episode. We don't know. It brings up a lot. I mean, those questions being asked, especially that first one, basically it's gotten a lot of people, speculating. It's got fans wondering, and it's done purposely so you can tune into the original series and go back to those episodes or to certain episodes where you think and believe where it could have happened, where it could have taken place, if you will. And it does bring up the whole Phoenix thing. It's like, okay, was the Phoenix the real Jean or the clone Jean? We don't know. was the one that married Scott officially in Beyond Good and Evil the real Gene or the clone? We don't know. Again, hopefully these are questions that get answered throughout the rest of the season and into the next season, as we continue forward on a weekly basis. Hopefully these are questions that get answered in the show. But again, they're done purposely to get fans talking and speculating and theorizing and wondering themselves, but also gets them to tune in to the, go to Disney Plus and watch the original series to try to find exactly when when possibly all this, started to take place, like when the domino effect started to occur that led to what we got in this recent episode. But I'm telling you, they are hitting it out of the park here. And again, like I said, we cannot underestimate our appreciation for streaming services like Disney Plus, because again, they're able to do things they wouldn't have been able to do during an original broadcast. Like I said, the Rogue Magneto thing. There's no way that would have happened. Madeline Pryor as the Goblin Queen quoting or semi-quoting, what Jesus said in the Bible during his crucifixion, or at least, paraphrasing the quote, if you will. It's like none of that would have been able to. There's no way none of that would have been, passable in the original broadcast run. And again, what happened with the baby? That's another thing too. There's no way that would have been passable. Hell no, they wouldn't have allowed that. So yeah, we need to be appreciative of the fact that we have services like this, whether we are, fond of them right now or not happy with them. We need to be appreciative that at least they allow these kind of story arcs to be told, more expansively so than they would during the original broadcast run. We need to be very appreciative of that. And yeah, it's got my curiosity piqued. It's got me wanting to see more, because again, people are going to want to know, okay, when are we going to get, the answers that we want? When are we going to get our questions answered as to when the switch took place, who was actually the host of the Phoenix, who married Scott? Hopefully we get that all answered soon, because they can't, brush this under the rug. They can't do that. They can't brush it under the rug. They gotta give us those answers. And hopefully they do. Hopefully they do. Excuse me there. Hopefully they do. But I'll tell you this. What it does do, because of promoting Sinister as the big bad of this season, if not the show, it's building up to that final confrontation. Because it's depicted in the comics. It is depicted in the comics that Sinister gets destroyed by Scott. He got destroyed in the original series, but was able to reconstitute himself. But I think there have been several times where he's actually been killed off in X-Men comics, if not Marvel comics, by Cyclops, in his optic beam. And I think his optic beam maybe got, a power boost or something. So basically, there's no doubt in my mind that what we got with this episode sets us up. It sets us up, for that big confrontation between the two, where basically it's going to be one shall stand, one shall fall kind of scenario. That's what it will be. And I think a lot of people are going to tune in for that when it happens, whether it's this season or next season. But yeah, that's all I can really say, guys. Again, we need to be appreciative of streaming platforms being around, because they can do a lot more than what you could, they can do a lot more than what a network allows to be done. And yeah, I'll tell you, this has got my attention, and mostly those three questions at the end, asked by Madeline, they've gotten people talking and wondering and hoping for an answer, not just within the show, but it's got fans speculating and wondering, okay, when did it happen? Let me think. And it's going to make people not only want to try to find an answer themselves, but it's going to make them tune in to watch the original series to get those answers. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Live chat if you're watching on YouTube. What are your thoughts on X-Men 97 so far, and what were your thoughts of this third episode? You know, and do you appreciate, despite how you might feel about the changes streaming platforms are going through, do you appreciate them being around so that, you know, shows like this could have more, I guess you could say, more leeway than they would on network and broadcast television? Let me know. And until then, guys, I will talk to y'all later. But give